What's up, everyone? I've been away from YouTube for a while because we've been supporting our students and more are joining our high ticket program, which is way more involved than one-on-one for 8 weeks on Zoom coaching. So it's been taking my team, a lot of time to really onboard students and make sure they're getting success and setting them up with all of the tools that we teach, like Locator IQ and the other little programs as well. So a lot of things are coming in the near future. We're actually releasing a much more affordable broker agent split option and retainer. So if you're interested in sponsorship as well, we can handle your collections. We're backed by an attorney that collects at an insane rate. So even if we can't collect in-house, we have an attorney that'll bat for us. And so it's a really strong offer and we can really support much better than we could last year as of now. Anyhow, enjoy a bunch of random Q&As about apartment locating. All right, we got some real estate questions to answer before we hop off. Let me see if this camera is working. Okay, good. The camera right there. Stupid Instagram won't record this. So what's up, Lisa? What's up, Texas Rent Locator? What's up, Aaron? How are you, man? What's up, Joseph? I got the camera recording right there. Let me wave it, y'all. Boom, 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 boom. And then put this here and plug this in. Before it dies, then I'll answer all the questions you guys have. I promise. I promise. It's another reason I like these MacBook Airs. Like, the battery is just good. It's like better on the Airs. Like, even though the Pros are rated longer, the Airs will just last longer. But nevertheless, I don't know. What's up, Colombiano? How are you, man? We were voice chatting a lot today, weren't we? Let me wave at you. Boom. If you give me just a second, I'm going to plug in this laptop so my phone doesn't die. And then I'll answer some real estate questions. If you guys do have questions, though, just pop them in the chat and I'll answer them. My team gave me like 7 questions from school members that I have to answer. And then there's an 8th one in the school community where I think is that Natasha? Yeah, Natasha is like frustrated about some kind of compensation issue as a locator. So I'm going to be answering her question too. This will be a good video for y'all to learn like more about the locator industry and some of the issues as well. All right, what's up, Natasha? Let's get this thing started. Maybe I should look this way since I'm on the cameras over there. All right, extremely frustrated with not being compensated. What's up, Natasha? Thanks for asking this. Good morning. I'm having issues collecting payment on 2 invoices, and I'm wondering what I can do next. Okay, so you've got 2 leases that you need payment on collection. You're saying number 1, I submitted. What's up? Thanks for joining. Boom. Okay, so Natasha's frustrated because she's not getting compensated as a locator. So you've got 2 that you're fighting for right now. Number 1, submitted my invoice W-9. Greystar is the largest management company in the USA that manages multifamily apartments. So that's good. You're going to get paid probably. That was December 1st. As requested, my clients moved in. They told me it would take 4 to 6 weeks for payment. They said since the changed management for the property and I was told that Greystar is still responsible for the commission, I reached out to Greystar's regional manager and he asked for my documents to be sent to him all over again. And it may take an additional 4 to 6 weeks, which I don't think is fair. Last I spoke to him was about 2 weeks ago. After I asked if this process could be expedited, he said yes, he would, but still did not provide a time frame. Reached out again yesterday and now no response. Oh yeah, that's classic, Natasha. So what you're going through is that like you got a lease at an apartment complex right when they changed management companies. So you have an invoice in, but because the management company changed, you're in that gray area where the management companies are pointing at each other like, who should pay Natasha's invoice? The old management or the new management? So that's pretty typical. If you got a hold of the manager and he said he's going to pay you, then all that means is that you have to follow up every single week. That's why we always tell agents, it's not a good idea to do your own collections as an apartment locator. It's always better to just kind of delegate that to whoever is sponsoring you, right? That's why even though a lot of big real estate brokerage firms will let you do locating, like if you're with Keller Williams or Remax or I don't know, Century 21, any of these big like real estate companies, they'll let you technically do locating. But if they don't have a locating collections department that knows all about the locating niche and they're telling you to collect by yourself, it really becomes like another full-time job. Jessica. Yeah, so apartments only have a 60-day window where they know their availability because they require a 2-month notice from the renters. So like that basically translates into you can't close someone if they need to move in like more than 60 days in the future. Alex and I kind of try to focus on 30 days. Like if they need to move in this month or next month, we can help them. Anything past 60 days, you don't want to waste your time with. Not because the lead isn't valuable, but it's just too much time in the future. You can't actually help them lock anything down. So be careful with that, Jessica. Michael, do apartment locators actually get access to better pricing and availability than what renters see online? Yeah, for sure, Michael. Because the thing is, you have to have a license, a real estate license, to sign up for like Smart Apartment Data or Spark Apartment Data that one of our students created. He's the CEO. So like in order to use a true locator database, you have to have a license. And those companies are smaller. It's not like apartments.com that tries to be an apartment website for the whole entire United States. So the local little companies that focus on a couple markets like Texas and Colorado and Nashville, the data is just going to be more accurate. And then they can also filter things as well, like credit issues, criminal stuff. You can't see a lot of that in apartments.com, not accurately, So yes, apartment locator databases are more accurate than like public websites. Not by much, but they are. Okay. Ashley says, what credit score do most apartments require? What's up, Ashley? And what options exist for renters with lower credit? So really, as long as their credit's like 580 or above, or really like 550 or above, they're going to get approved. They just might have a double deposit. So here in Austin, like if you have a 550 credit score and the deposit's normally 150, they might ask you for like a $300 deposit, but you'll get approved if your credit score is over 550. Usually if you're over 600, then you just get approved with no problems. It's not like buying a house. Buying a house, you need like a 620 usually, right, for a mortgage. And then really what you want is over a 740 to get a much better interest rate. So it's a lot easier than that. And then what options exist for renters with lower credit? So if they have like a 480 credit score, they're just going to get straight up denied. So if that's the case, they have to have a cosigner, and cosigners are required to make 5 or 6 times the rent in income to qualify, not just 3 times anymore, if that makes sense. So like, let's say the rent is $2,000 a month. Normally you'd have to show $6,000 a month yourself to qualify for the income. But if you have like really bad credit and you get a cosigner, now your cosigner has to make 6 times the 2K. So that's 12 grand a month that they'd have to show if it's a cosigner. That's how that works. Other than that, I mean, you got to just get a roommate, then you can't, if your credit score is too low and you don't have a cosigner, then, I mean, you're screwed, you just got to get a private owner, work out some custom deal, move in with a friend or a roommate. And then that's kind of your only options, you have to have money and credit in life, All right, David, if someone has a past eviction or lease, a broken lease, are there still apartments that will approve them? Yeah, David, but to give you an example, so like in all of like North Austin, if someone has like an eviction, there's like 2 options, basically, out of like hundreds of apartments, there's like 2 options. And this is kind of the norm in Austin. So if someone wants to live central and they have an eviction, it's like 2 options. If they want to live south and they have an eviction, it's 2 options. It's always 2 options in like all the areas. If they want to live East Austin, but they have an eviction, 1 or 2 options. So yeah, they're out there, but usually evictions, like it's just a really bad thing to have. And then even if those 2 options do approve them, they're going to want 1 month full as a deposit. So no more $150 deposit. It'll be like whatever the rent is. So if the rent is $2,000 a month, the deposit's $2,000 because they have an eviction. So it's not good to have an eviction in life as an adult. Don't do that. Brittany is asking, oh, okay. So she just joined. Let's see here. Does it work in Canada? Because we don't use that. Oh, interesting. What do you mean by the Canada not working? That's interesting. If you can elaborate, that'd be good. How do apartment get paid, and does using one affect the rent specials a renter receives? Yeah, so apartment locators are paid by the marketing budget set aside that the apartment building has for marketing. So it doesn't cost the renter anything. But when we refer them and they write our name down, then they just pay us like 1 month as commission or so. It does not affect any rent specials at all. And it doesn't change the rent. It's going through a locator or not, it doesn't change the rent. Not using a locator. Chris says, what's the biggest mistake renters make when applying to apartments without using a locator? Probably just pre-qual. Some people apply to apartments not understanding the pre-qualification process, Chris. So like they don't know that the income they need. They don't know the credit they need, all this stuff. And they just apply and get denied. And it's just a waste of money when you do that. So that's what's cool about working with a locator is like at least we'll pre-qualify you to make sure you're not just wasting your money on an app fee or a deposit or an admin fee. And then Amanda is saying, can an apartment locator help someone transition from renting into buying like a new home construction home later on? Yeah, Amanda, that's actually the biggest secret. Like that's like what you should do. So like all of my renter clients that I've worked last year, like 5 or 10% of them always buy they want to buy. So if you reach out to them using a CRM automatically, you can just convince them to buy a new construction home, like what I did. And then there's just much more benefits to doing that, because it's like an easy transition. They probably saved up a bunch of money renting. And then now if they have the down payment, they can buy a house. And it's easier to represent that client because they've already worked with you before. That's kind of like the secret there. And then you can make like 10 grand or so or more whenever you become a buyer's agent for your existing client. Cool. That's all the questions we had.